Working hard on my stump, what's the problem? I ain't had shit to show, being modest. Now it's grams of the wax for my conscience. Brian James in LA, you're on college. I've been jumping on them planes like a hobby. Still moving with the pack like my partners. Just a John on them jets cause you wildin'. But the bowl is a party on the island, moment of silence. So good, get back to the topic. Grew up, it was me and Flocka. Grandma's and Big T, this my mama. I ain't even for the pain when my pots flip. Knew his name, that's it, never bothered. Mom said, you the man, son, you got this. Ever since I found a way to go and pop shit. Hold up, blaze through a whole zip. Took a seat at the table of my first flip. Days in red roof for my first whip. Spent the money with the gang, never post pics. Seen a change in the game, had to coach it. Never let them take my wangs on the mold, bitch. Ever made in a month, nigga. Used to serve him at the minute just to front, nigga. Goddamn. Had to grow up quick, I made my own rules. Had my first child, got it jumping with music. Can't really hang with nobody who losing. I thought by now that you would go and get it, but I could hardly see niggas this distant. Know you get cropped if you not in the picture. And I made that tag and went got a bag. Shots to the Henny and OG prescriptions, put rebel shit on the map. Took a leap from where I started at. Started ballin', now I'm Chris Paul and Cats. Got him steady calling for the mold, but I'm on a roll, gotta call him back. And that's all fact.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. All carry-on items should now be stowed securely, either in an overhead bin or under the seat in front of you. All aisles, exits, and bulkhead areas should now be clear. All electronic devices should now be turned off and stowed, as they may interfere with the aircraft's navigational and communication systems. Once airborne, we'll let you know when you may use approved electronic devices, but note that some items may not be used at any time during the flight. You'll find a list of approved devices in the in-flight information section.
I rent district, here he goes! Crossing himself! Oh! He's done.
Gang, once again, he didn't die. He was fine. And we're live. We are live for another edition of the Pocket Locker podcast. And despite Lena's squeamishness, I am your host with the most, all the way from the East Coast. And gang, as always, I am in airplane mode. All right, Leon, I don't think they can hear you on the stream. All right. Well, let's fix that. All right, gang. How is everybody doing? It is so good to see you all here. Please grab something to drink, grab something to smoke, catch a vibe, link up with the gang. Let us jump into the musical portion of the program. The silent musical portion of the program. Welcome, Zeisenfer. Good to have you here. You're first. Get you 10,000 pocket change for being first.
You're going through all the pain and strife. You turn your back and they're gone so fast. Oh yeah. And they're gone so fast. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Oh, so hold on to the ones who really care. 'Cause in the end, they'll be the only ones there. When you get old, start losing your hair. Can you tell me who will still care?
The Bundy Carrier collab.
Say again, but you don't know.
That's my man, Richard Carrier.
Say again, but you don't know.
I would love to. I'm a big fan.
Oh, say again, but you don't know. Say again, but you don't know. You don't know.
I should reach out to him. It's a good idea. Hey, Carrie. I'm so quiet over here. I turned up a little bit. The music is here for Carrie. All right, we keeping it with Scary Pockets today. Scary Pockets is the perfect band for the Pocket Locker channel. We're going to another one of our favorites. Yo, man, when you take the 90s pop songs, man, and you funkify them, they just get so good. The Backstreet Boys could have a whole comeback if they did this shit. We'd be like, yo, the Backstreet Boys are slapping right now. All right, gang, put it in the chat. Were you a Backstreet Boys person or are you an NSYNC person? And if you're a 98 Degrees person, get the fuck out of this channel. Unsubscribe right now. You're officially shadow banned. If you tell me like I was in a 98 O-Town was my favorite boy band. Y'all remember O-Town? You're lying. You're lying. You don't have good taste in boy bands. I ain't gonna lie to y'all though. I'm putting it in the chat. I'm an NSYNC guy. I'm an NSYNC guy. You can hate me if you want. You can be mad if you want to, but it just is what it is. I grew up in a time you couldn't not have an affiliation. And me, you know, I'm just an NSYNC guy. New Kids on the Block. You're supposed to pick one from the right era, Carrie. That keyboard sound is so amazing. Nice. All right, gang. Whew. The fun portion of the evening has concluded. It is time to jump into the main event of the evening. And this one has been going viral all over the interwebs. Everybody's talking about it. But it's not good news, gang. It's not good news. It's fucked up. Your homeboy, your future president. You know I've disowned this country. After this country elected Donald Trump president, this is no longer my country. It's no longer my country. I don't have to take responsibility for anything that happens in this country. I've completely disavowed this country. I may be in America, but I am not of America. God damn it, I am not a patriot. Your potential future president, Ron fuckface DeSantis. Is it DeSantis? Is it DeSantis? We don't know anymore. That's it. If you don't get that joke, you haven't been paying attention to Ron DeSantis. All right, now he sat down with America's second favorite podcast, right? First you got Joe Rogan up there as the king of the fucking right-wing conspiracy theory grifters. But somewhere around level 2, level 3, we should do like a tier list. That's a good tier list, gang. We should do a tier list of right-wing grifters. You know, if Joe Rogan is S tier, if he's the top, he's like an S tier grifter. Fucking Russell Brand is A. He's A tier. He might not be the biggest, richest podcaster, conspiracy theorist in America, but think about it. Between the background in the movies and all of the money and the popularity and the fact that everybody grew up thinking he was super cool, it's just like Joe Rogan, right? Remember, everybody used to think Joe Rogan was cool. I have to confess, gang, I have terrible taste in people to follow, because I end up following all the people who end up turning and being crazy. But I used to be a Joe Rogan fan. Back when Joe Rogan was just, you know, making people eat weird shit, which like wasn't really my thing, but go ahead, make your money. But doing pretty good comedy and being a good representative of the reefer and a Jersey boy and hanging out in flotation tanks and all of that cool shit. We was like, yay, Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan. But then COVID happened, and it was like, oh shit. Joe Rogan has lost his fucking mind. Oh, gang. Russell Brand was drinking that same Kool-Aid. And me and Lena need to be telling Lena, me and Lena got to write a book called How to Be Rich. None of these people know how to be rich. All of these people have enough money to like buy themselves a private island, a bunch of the most attractive people of whatever the fuck they're into, a whole bunch of vehicles, a whole bunch of jets, and go fuck off. Just go fuck off and be rich. Like, you know, spend $300 on fucking t-shirts and have a $5,000 fucking toothbrush and a whole house full of, you know, fucking, I don't know, what do rich people get, like first edition books or Air Jordans? I don't fucking know. Again, I'm not rich. I don't know how rich people spend their money. I do know how not to be rich. See, that's the key. That's the key. The book's gonna be called How Not to Be Rich. So we don't have to actually be rich to know how not to be rich. You just have to catalog all the stupid shit rich people need to stop doing. And number one on that list of things that rich people need to stop doing is making fucking podcasts. You're rich. Do you not understand how this works? When you are like me, when you are like way, when I first started on Twitch, gang, I first started on Twitch with 0 subscribers, 0 followers, none. Literally, my channel was a way for me to like show people shit. Like I'd be like playing a game with a friend, like, oh, you want to see some shit? Yeah, I'm gonna fire up my Twitch. You can check it out, and I'm gonna show you how to do this thing. So literally, gang, the channel started. Y'all see where this is going. The channel started because some people I met online was trying to get help fucking around with costumes in WWE 2K, a video game. Yes, playing a wrestling video. I was playing a wrestling video game, and I was showing people how to do the graphic design on their tights, and they were like, oh yeah, this is cool. If we send you some creative wrestlers, will you stream? And I was like, shit, I'm bored. I ain't got nothing to do. Ain't nobody else trying to watch me play this fucked up ass game. Sure. Do you see what I'm saying? That's way when you at the bottom, gang. You don't really get into it to be popular. You're not going to go viral. You're not going to be on the front page of Twitch. You like literally might find a couple friends to play games with. That's how most of us start, just way at the bottom. We're just happy to find some people to play some games with. And then it kind of grows from there. And maybe you find yourself a community like a small group of people. You interact with them on a regular basis. They get to know you. You get to know them. Oh, that shit is amazing. It feels like you fucking made it. Like you found a fucking niche. You really have people. Is people really tuning in? That feels fucking great. Then for some people, they get a little beyond that. You know, they cross that monetization threshold. They start getting some super chats and some super thanks and selling a little merchandise and hitting up the Patreon. And they be getting a little side money, y'all. They be getting a little side money. They don't quit their job. They ain't got fuck you, I'm rich now, quit your job money. They just got a little pizza money. Every once in a while, they need a little pizza, need a little Chinese food, you know, make some studio upgrades, get a new microphone, new set of headphones, something like that. Boom, they dip into that YouTube stash. Boom, pull out a couple bucks. Boom, and then bless themselves with that YouTube money. Gang, do you realize? Of all the podcasts you watch, how, especially y'all that's like me, like you community, like you just be watching people based on what they say. You don't really care how popular they are. You just be watching who's real, and you got a lot of real ones that you subs to. Please go fuck yourself. Do you know how most of them will really like never make money? Like most of the small content creators in argument, I ain't gonna name no names because I don't know who's who, and my name might be on that list too. But most of us will never make a dime off YouTube. We'll never make a dime off YouTube. Some of us will make like a few dollars, a couple bucks here and there, but then when you compare it to what we actually put out on our studios, put out in our time, put out in terms of, you know, decorating and doing things, bang, bang, all that money's gone. Nah, you in the red. You're in the red. You're in the red. That's a L. That's a big L. Okay? Then you have the people who they break through. You know, they start to make an actual earning for themselves on streaming. It's crazy. Like they be making real money, like, you know, enough to pay the bills, you know, have a little mortgage, take their partner out once in a while. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not rich, okay, but they make enough to do it full time. It's become a real job for them. Okay, then you get way up into the upper echelons of people who can actually make bank off of this content, like silver plaques, gold plaques, you know, fancy cars, build the new houses. They rich, like they making a lot of money off YouTube. Gang, please go fuck yourself. That's like 0 people. Y'all know, a lot of y'all know Derek just got his silver plaque. Nobody think he rich. He just makes a good living off YouTube. All of us trying to support him. You know, make sure you subscribe to YouTube, to Mythvision podcast down in the description on YouTube, and that Mythvision TV and the Derek Lambert channel. We trying to help Derek get his money up, trying to hustle. He deserves it, you know what I'm saying? He's putting a lot into it, but he not balling out like rich. He's just making a good living on YouTube. Gang, what the fuck am I saying? That is the pyramid. Literally, unless you're at the very top corner of the fucking pyramid, everybody below you ain't making shit. And it is so rare that you break through to the point that you could actually get rich off of YouTube. What is the point I'm making, gang? What the fuck are you doing this for if you already rich? Nah, you fucked up. You fucked up. You dropped the bag. Like I said, you don't know how to be rich. The purpose of YouTube is to put it out there. You risk yourself. You make this content. You share some controversial opinions. You get into some fights. You get into some debates. You get yourself into some shit. And the point is, hopefully, it'll pay off. But a lot of these motherfuckers, they're already rich. All they're doing is just showing their ass in public. I'm sorry, you cannot tell me Russell Brand is making more of his YouTube channel than he would if he just like shut the fuck up, didn't make a YouTube channel, made a couple more movies, and then fucked off. That is the game plan, gang. Do not fuck this game plan up. If your ass makes it to be rich, fuck off. Just fucking go somewhere and spend your money. Do not start a fucking YouTube channel now that you're rich. Gang, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this fucked up ass nonsense, the anti-interview of the year. It's going to get some awards for being the most cringy shit you've ever seen. I don't even know what they're getting. Gang, do you really think I'm gonna sit through a Ron DeSantis and Russell Brand interview twice. Like, I'm gonna just sit here watching it back in the studio, taking notes and coming up with a script like, oh, here's what I'm gonna say to this part, and then here's what I'm gonna say to this part. Oh, I think I'll stop it at exactly 7 minutes and 42 seconds in, and then I'll say this, and then at 8 minutes and 30. Hell to the no. Hell no, we ain't watching. We gang, first take only motherfuckers. We're gonna do this shit live. All right, now let's go ahead and hit it with the Autobots transform. Uncle Bobby style. You know, gang, you already know. You already know. Tag team back again. Party on, party on. All right, there's the transform, and then we roll out, blow up, shoot. All right, fucked up the order. I can't do it. I don't have the Uncle Bobby swagger.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand. It's a very special episode because Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida and presidential candidate,
bro, it's a very quiet episode.
Us. We're going to talk to Ron for 15 minutes on YouTube if you're watching us there. Then we'll be exclusively on Rumble to talk about Trump, CBDCs, war in Ukraine, anti-riot stroke anti-protest laws and what that distinction means. In our item, Here's the News, we're going to be talking about Biden's temper. Is he a toddler or is he a lethal lunatic? Let us know in the comments where you stand on that particular issue. And is even this new revelation that Biden behaves extraordinarily in public, this is an allegation, it's not been proven, is that potentially PR to make him sound a little more edgy, a little more priapic than he otherwise may, and a little less docile? But now, the reason that you've joined us, I'm sure, is because we have the great privilege of welcoming the governor of Florida and Republican presidential candidate for 2024, Ron DeSantis. And I've got a copy of The Courage to Be Free, Ron DeSantis' book, in my hand now to endorse it by proximity and contact. Ron, thank you so much for joining us on Stay Free with Russell Brand.
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for plugging the book. Not everyone does that. I didn't even ask you to do it, so appreciate it.
We're very professional here, and we're very grateful to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for supporting and endorsing Rumble, which, of course, has its home in the state that you are the governor of. Ron, when I was in Florida recently, I was struck by the amount of pride that Floridians have in their state. You appear to be universally in...
Yeah, so me and who was talking about this? My one black friend was talking about this on Hot Program. Check out the Hot Program channel, link in the description. Yeah, man, if you're really having conversations with people and they're growing, they're thinking, they're even thinking about changing, it is worth it. It's super rewarding. And it kind of makes a lot of this experience worth it, right? Because you get a lot of practice talking about the issues and preparing for those conversations. I wish I had more of those conversations, but I'm trying to, not that it bothers me, but I'm trying to focus, on building atheist community and just being happy that people are here and that we're supporting each other. But I'm not gonna lie, man, it would be a big bonus for me if we could grow more believers in the audience and come to have an influence on them over time. I know people sort of look down on that kind of thing, but you got to remember, like, we're really about it. Like, I really think religion is terrible and ruining this country and ruining a lot of families. And we've gone on that journey ourselves, right? It's like somebody who, used to have a bad habit or used to be, living a rough life, and they've made their life better and they've had to change it, and they know how meaningfully their life can be improved. I think a lot of us just have that same desire to see it in other people.
Endorsed by the population of Florida. I did stand-up comedy there. A lot of my stand-up was talking about measures taken in the pandemic where I live in the UK, and the broad and I would say spookily ubiquitous response to the pandemic in most places in the world, except one might contest in Florida. I'm sure that
you got to get the secret method from YouTube,
Floridians have is a source of great joy to you. I wonder how you came to the position of confidence in taking a stance that was antithetical to the stance taken elsewhere in America.
Well, I'm glad you noticed that. I was born and raised in Florida, and while I've always loved the state, we didn't have the same type of pride growing up that, say, people in Texas have about Texas. And yet in the last few years, particularly since I've been governor, we've developed that pride. And I think a lot of it's rooted in the fact that we told people like Fauci to take a hike during COVID. We were going to do it our way. We were going to be the free state of Florida. And obviously that meant people had a right to work, right to operate businesses. Kids needed to be in school. We fought back against mandates, both in terms of not letting local governments impose mask mandates, not letting government or business impose COVID vaccine mandates. So in every step of the way, we were really leading. And how did I come to it? I mean, part of it was I just looked at the data that was coming in. The whole premise
okay. Positive. Couple things here. First off, if y'all were like, whoa, we're jumping straight into it. No, that's what this is about. When I first realized that Russell Brand had started a podcast and was, trying to be the next A-tier right-wing grifter, of course it was him promoting COVID disinformation and misinformation. It's pretty much how he made a name for himself. And so, that's where the harmony for these two comes from. The harmony from these two comes from. Fuck the prepositions. That's why these two like each other. Okay, they're both on that same anti-COVID tip. Now, gang, that puts you immediately in alternate reality. Alternate fucking reality, because you have to now imagine yourself the governor of a whole ass state, a state that is constantly in some shit between literally there are currently insurance companies leaving his state because of his piss poor regulations, and also the fact that they're about to be patient zero for the incoming fucking apocalypse that is global warming. Okay. And rather than being like, yeah, some straight biblical shit is about to go down in my state, you have to go on a really big podcast with the camera and a microphone and your whole fucking, remote setup there. Look into the camera and decide it's a great idea to brag about how you wouldn't take the pandemic seriously. Yeah, them progressives over there on the left, man, them fools was trying to, keep people safe and make sure they're not dying. I shut all that shit down. No fucking mask, no fucking closing. What a bunch of pussies. No fucking social distancing, okay? We're not vaccine mandates. You mean like we've had our entire fucking lives but prior to this pandemic? Nah, fuck that. Nah, I wouldn't let them have the mandates. Gang, that's who Ron DeSantis is. Please go fuck yourselves. I screwed you guys. I fucked you guys all up today. Have you seen that question of the day? I told you do not trust educators. That is one of the things that I have to agree with the right-wingers about, is you cannot trust educators. I keep telling y'all, they are the type of people who will just drop a pop quiz on you. Gang, please go fuck yourself. You remember being in school. What was the absolute thing you dreaded in school? What do you mean a pop quiz? An exam out of nowhere? Bro, we was just, telling you, that's what educate. And I have done that to you today. Pop quiz, who would you rather vote for, Trump or DeSantis? Please go fuck yourself. You have not answered a question that hard, since you took fucking 10th grade calculus, okay? There's just no way. There's no way you know how to answer that. How do you even answer a question like that? How do you? Please notice I didn't make jump off a bridge an option, which is what I know a lot of you would rather do to weasel your way out of it. Nope, you'd have to actually pick hard choice, DeSantis or Trump. Don't look at me. I'm not even answering. The answer's for y'all. I don't even.
Both in the UK and in the United States was in the idea that COVID would cause massive amounts of hospitalizations, and we wouldn't even have any more hospital beds left over for normal patients. We all got those models, all governors, all heads of state, and I'm looking.
You know what? Fucking carry it. I'm taking the easy way out too. At current moment, We don't know why Ron DeSantis will spend the rest of his life in prison. Don't get me wrong. Ron DeSantis should probably spend the rest of his life in prison, right? But we can't really see that over the horizon. You know, there's a lot of things that have to happen. You know, Trump is closer to being out of the picture, either due to age and natural causes, or more likely due to prosecution and pending incarceration. And so I'm gonna go with Trump. Trump is also the good, like, entertainment answer, right? Like, if you're just in it for the content, if you're just in it for the social media, you're just kind of in it to watch this thing burn down and see how crazy things could really get, then you kind of got to go Trump, right? You got to see, like, are they really gonna, you know, put him through the Republican primary after he's been convicted? Okay, is he actually gonna run as a felon? Okay, what if we elect him? Like, I'm not saying we should, but if we do elect him, like, how does this work? See, there's a lot of entertainment value in going with Trump. You know, that's where I'm going. That's the. I can't believe I said that on air. Somebody's gonna take this way out of context.
Like March and April, and none of it was accurate. All the predictions were bogus. And so I said, listen, this is something that we're going to have to live with. Sweden is living with it, and they're doing much better than most of these other countries in Europe. Let's have people make their own decisions rather than forcing Fauciism on our state. And I think that the goal of Fauci was to have rolling lockdowns. So you'd lock down, then COVID would go down. Then
yes. To answer this question simply, Slug, yes, we are doomed to have Biden in 2024. You know, I think he's probably going to serve his full term. I think his concerns about his health are overstated. You know, you never know. He's an older gentleman, but I'm not wishing that upon him, and I kind of wish our rhetoric would steer clear of wishing death upon people. But we're fucked. Yeah, we're going to have Biden. Because, to be honest with you, Trump has sank his own ship. The scary thing is, if Trump wasn't such a criminal, Trump would have another shot at it, which just tells you everything you need to know about how bad America really is. This country sucks. I'm going to be honest with you. This country sucks. I'm looking right into this is one of them shithole countries. And I'm going to tell you something else about America a lot of people won't say. It's a shithole country because of the people. Don't look over here. Don't look over here. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. I'm gonna tell you, just like Uncle Bobby will tell you. A lot of people in this country watch Ted Cancun Cruz do what Ted Cancun Cruz does, aka dip on his people to Mexico when shit hits the fan, and they're like, "Oh, great job! Great job, Ted Cruz. Great job. You pretend to be a Christian, don't you? Oh, he pretends to be a Christian. Great, Ted Cruz. Yay, yay. Let's make Ted Cruz senator again." They look at fuckface Ron DeSantis and they re-elected him governor by more than he did the last time. Right? Trump has been charged with more felonies than anybody you can ever remember. Please, gang, who has been charged with more? I don't think we could charge Osama bin Laden with that many felonies. Who can be charged? Like, Trump is trying to set the Guinness World Record for felonies. And a lot of this country's like, he can do no wrong. Trump 2024. So America's a shithole country because Americans are shithole people. Just flat out. They're bad people. They're bad, nasty, gross people. Literally, Ron DeSantis thinks the way to appeal to them is to brag about how you don't take the pandemic seriously. I mean, at what point do I just get to say Americans are bad people? I really get sick of holding it in. They're just bad people. Can we just say they're bad people already? Like, they're really bad people. Now, anyway, because the Trump ship is sinking so epically, because Trump is pulling a Titanic, and I know I shouldn't say Titanic, I should say whatever that new one is, you know, the one that went to find the Titanic and got Titanic, that thing. Trump's not going to beat Biden. And there are basically no Republicans that can beat Trump. So no Republicans can beat Trump, and he can't beat Biden. So there you have it. It would take a monumental star coming out of the right wing, and I don't see that happening. It would also take a Democrat willing to sacrifice their entire presidential future to challenge Biden, right? Because don't get me wrong, gang. It's not that the Democratic Party doesn't realize there are people we'd rather vote for. They don't care. It's not even that those people don't realize we'd rather vote for them. It's that the way the power structure is in the party and the fundraising, basically all those people have been told to sit down and wait their turn. And they will effectively sit down and wait their turn. It sounds something like blase, Glavinoid's incumbent, right? That's all it is. Oh, he's the incumbent and he's done enough. He's got my vote, you know? So Joe Biden is not going to be challenged from the left. Over here. Donald Trump is not meaningfully going to be challenged from the right. So we are due for Trump versus Biden round 2, unless we substitute a different loser for Donald Trump. So yeah, I literally think people, now look, you need to vote. Your ass needs to vote, and you need to vote Biden. I'm not going to beat around the bush. You need to vote Biden, and if you don't vote Biden, your ass needs to stay at home. But everybody else needs to get your monkey ass out there and vote Biden, because you can't play around with these Republicans. But you might as well get used to it. Like I don't really see the need to have a bunch of election anxiety or worried about who we're going to vote for, what the new direction is going to be. It's just going to be 4 more years of Biden. That's it.
It may be opened back up, but when the next wave started, you would have to lock down again. And I think they would have wanted to repeat that over and over again. Had Florida
I'm glad you saw
stood in the way, I think they would have gotten away with it. But what happened was, we said we're standing for freedom. We remember we had a COVID wave summer of 2020. Everyone was telling me, you've got to lock down Florida. Fauci was saying it, the White House, the press, the left, all these people. And I said no. I said I'm going to stand. A lot of people said your political career is over. And, you know, at the end of the day, so be it, right? A leader's got to do what he thinks is right. You got to stand up for your folks, protect their jobs instead of worrying about your own political hide. And so that's what we did. It made the state better, and that did. But I do think it had an impact around the country, because anytime the lockdowners wanted to do more restrictions, people could just point to Florida and say, well, wait a minute, Florida's not doing this. Why don't we have to do it? So we were glad to be able to take that stand. But here's the thing. You still have people today, Fauci and the like, they think that what they did was right. They think that these lockdowns worked. And so my fear is, if this happens in the future, a lot of these people are going to want to do the same thing again. So one of the things I pledged as president.
Oh, my goodness. Please go fuck yourself. I got to say something about Americans. Y'all are wimps. Wimps. I think Uncle Bobby put it so well when he talked about COVID. That all these people, I would do anything for America. I would make any sacrifice for America. Let's stand and salute the soldiers and pray for their souls before this baseball game, because we really need to honor those who make sacrifices for their country. Sacrifice for the country, sacrifice for the country, sacrifice for Jesus, sacrifice for Jesus. Wait. I meant sacrifice for the country, right? They think it's the same shit. They think being patriot and being a Christian is the same shit. Jesus equals flag, equals cross, equals Constitution, equals founding fathers, equals church fathers. It's all the same bullshit to them, right? Okay, all these people, they would do anything for their country. They could not stop sucking off that American flag if it told them I've already came 3 times, right? They just couldn't. All of a sudden, when the most patriotic thing to do became sit your ass at home and watch TV. The same motherfuckers who literally, we know them. I know a lot of these people came out extra Trumplican, extra conservative, extra Christian, and extra crazy. They're extra crisp. And now we want to act like we don't know them, right? Because they're crazy now. And now, you know, things have gotten, we now see who's who. So we trying to say, but don't lie. You knew these people. What's the point I'm getting at? Gang, before COVID, they hated everything. They hated everything. Every time you wanted to go to the store with them, they didn't really want to go. Why? Because they rather sit at home and watch TV. They didn't really want to go to work every day because they had to leave their house. They had to get dressed. They had to get up early in the morning. They had to go somewhere. They had to work and do all the shit they really hated. And what did they really want to do? What were they really looking forward to their entire fucking workday? Right. They wanted to go home so they could sit on their ass and watch TV. Every time you took these motherfuckers to the movie, well, you know, we could have just stayed at home and watched the movie. Every time you take them to a restaurant, well, you cook better than this restaurant. You know, we could have stayed home and had a nice meal. All of a sudden, the one thing this country needed motherfuckers to do above all else was sit your ass at home, eat at home, watch a movie at home, and stay the fuck at home. And all of a sudden, Americans got cabin fever like you would not believe. Then it was, okay, just keep a healthy 6 feet. Most of you got like about it, like a extra arm's length away. No, we couldn't do that. Then the next patriotic thing to do was wear a mask. Put a piece of cloth over your face so other people don't die. Nah, we wasn't about that either. Okay, then we could get a vaccine, gang. I think it would hurt more to get poked with this very round controller. I think it would hurt to get poked more with a goddamn butter knife. I cannot think of a thing that is less of an inconvenience than getting a fucking vaccine shot. Literally, by the time your ass gets anticipation that this fucking needle might slightly feel like a pinch, it is over already, and there's a Band-Aid on your goddamn arm. But no. All of a sudden, the motherfuckers that was, oh my God, we have to salute the soldiers. Oh, look at the flyover. Oh, the troops. I love the troops. Oh man, you got to sacrifice for your country. They couldn't do none of that shit. And now, not only would they not do that shit, they won't shut the fuck up about it. They literally, the gang, 2024 presidential politics, it's not even presidential, all of the state races, you are going to hear this from the crazy Trumpleton right-wingers. They are all going to be playing COVID vengeance. They will not shut up about how they oppose the mandates, and if they get elected, there's never going to be a mandate, and there's never going to be any vaccines, and nobody's going to have to ever wear a mask, and you can burn your mask, and Gang, they are saltier than the motherfucker that they were even asked. And they are acting like they made sacrifices that they did not make. They did not make them. They did not stay home. They did not social distance. They did not stop traveling. They did not work from home. They did not take a vaccine. They didn't do none of that shit. Crazy, man. Go to other countries, man. Other countries was on lockdown. Like your ass will get locked up if you leave the house. Other countries had straight up vaccine mandates. You can't go to work. You can't go to school. You can't travel into the country. Can't travel within the country. And none of that shit without a vaccine passport. Americans were like, maybe some countries will require you to show proof of vaccine. Like, I just can't with this. Obviously, like, for a hot minute, people did things, and I just really do believe this country had one of the most half-assed responses to the pandemic. Half-assed. It was garbage, gang. Absolute garbage. And these people are acting like they laid down their fucking lives for Dr. Fauci. Please go fuck yourselves.
And I think I'm the only one running on the Republican side who will be willing to do this. We're going to bring a reckoning to this health bureaucracy and this medical swamp, because these agencies like CDC, NIH, FDA, they failed the American people. They become corrupted, and they did a lot of damage with these unscientific anti-freedom policies.
Well, that's pretty heartening to hear. In retrospect, your stance increasingly seems to have been the correct one. And that's interesting and exciting, in fact, to hear you talk about a reckoning. One thing that is evident from the position that you took as governor of Florida,
some of them got X-Men superpowers and shit, you know, and they're still mad, man. You finally turned them into the superheroes they wanted to be when they were kids, and they still mad at you.
the decentralization and the ability that you had to take that position, which must have felt like a huge risk, given that it was in opposition to the proposed mandate in elsewhere, the sacking of key workers in New York City, the advocacy for shaming by CNN of people that were hesitant or reluctant to pursue certain medical propositions. It's a risk that has doubtlessly paid off, but also it helps us to identify the importance of decentralization.
Gang, I'm telling you, right? See, you're seeing the effect, gang. See, I'm every once in a while, just by the nature of being the super great person that I am, gang, please confirm. Y'all know I'm an asshole. But every once in a while, I give the other side advice just because I see them messing up so hard. I'm just trying to help them out. And now y'all are understanding the advice I was trying to give rich people. When I write my book, How Not to Be Rich, I'm telling you, that's gonna be how I make it. It's gonna be the irony. I'm gonna write a book called How Not to Be Rich, and I'm gonna finally strike it big. But look, this is why. How many of you really, really, really don't want to watch Russell Brand movies anymore? Be honest. Be honest. I know me. I'm like, oof. Next time I see a movie and it's like starring Russell Brand, I'm gonna be like, maybe we skip this one, right? Before, he was fine. Like, you'd see Russell Brand in the movie looking like a, you know, pirate dad, hobo type figure, and you'd be like, oh, it's cool, it's Russell Brand. He's kind of like whatever, hippie, aloof comedy dude. People that work with him think he's funny. And so you're like, what's Russell Brand? You know, it's fucking Russell Brand. And now when you see Russell Brand, you kind of want to throw up in your mouth a little bit. This is what I'm saying, rich people. You're fucking up your brand. You're fucking up your bottom line. You're fucking up your PR. You're fucking up your marketing. I know you think there's a lot of conservatards out there, and you can make a pretty penny off these conservatards. I'm not gonna lie, but you got to remember, most of the majority that doesn't watch your podcast and shit, but will go spend money at the movies, they don't like this shit, man. This shit is a bad look. All you had to do, Russell Brand, was go fuck off somewhere and be rich.
With this in mind, how do you feel that you would preside over the United States of America if you fundamentally believe in the rights of individual states to establish their own laws and govern in their own way?
Well, there is way too much authority in
he
Washington,
is.
D.C. and
This is a sugar daddy network. We've got to figure out who it is.
I'd say illegitimate authority that has been accumulated over many, many decades. Some of that is because Congress has been neglectful, presidents have been neglectful, but you have a massive bureaucratic administrative state that exists almost outside of typical elections.
I either have things picked up or I have stuff delivered. I live in a place I can do that. Not everybody can, but you know, I don't want to make it about me, but I still make a lot of sacrifices. I still live pretty much the same way I did, you know, when the pandemic was in full swing. I still work from home. I still have stuff delivered. I spent, I don't know, Lena could tell you, an hour and a half or so today wiping down my groceries, which I do every time they come. I know people don't take it that crazy serious like I do, but I'd rather not get COVID and I'd rather not give it to anybody. But it's becoming increasingly unsustainable because the country's just moved to a place where we're not taking it seriously more, and people aren't really living, you know, we're kind of just gone back to our pre-pandemic lives. And so, you know, I don't know how sustainable it is. Like I said, I've been fortunate enough with my assignments and things like that. Like this upcoming semester, I have another online teaching assignment. I've kind of turned into somewhat of an online teaching expert, but I don't know how long that will be. And obviously, most people are not in that situation. So I don't blame anybody for doing what they got to do. But it is terribly disappointing to me that it feels like, I hate to say it, but it feels like these conservative people won. You know, in some sort of like real meta thing that shows you exactly where America is. The Overton window has shifted so far to the right, that us doing some things to stem the tide during the worst of COVID has made us feel like we really beat it, like we really conquered it, and now it's really over. And in a sense, we've given the right-wingers exactly what they wanted, which is they were telling us from the beginning, don't do anything different. Just pretend it's not happening. It's not, you know, at first he was saying people telling us COVID wasn't even real, right? It's funny how they go from it's not real to bragging about how, you know, they refuse to deal with it. So it's super fucked up, gang, but that's where we're at, is that we've literally declared some kind of victory over something that clearly just whooped our ass. But hey, it could have been worse. And so I guess we always think that it could have been worse means we're doing great, instead of really our response was quite tragic. And it's tragic because if you would take, I think, what COVID is doing right now, and something broke out that was doing what it's doing right now, pre-COVID, it would have been a huge deal. But, you know, we'd all be adjusting our lives, making different decisions. But due to COVID fatigue and the desensitization, basically just how normal we got to just seeing these crazy numbers of everybody dying, now that the numbers have gone down, they look acceptable to us. But if any disease just broke out of nowhere and was doing what COVID is doing now, pre-pandemic, we'd be freaking the fuck out about it. So it just shows you that it's kind of worked. They've conditioned us to ignore the death and the suffering, get your ass back to work. The economy is more important than your health, and suck it up, buttercup is the national policy here in America.
They exert power over the populace, regardless of the outcome elections. None of these people are elected, and they purport to tell us what kind of energy we can use, what kind of car we can drive,
Hillary Clinton.
Whether potentially you're allowed to have a gas stove. You know, in Florida, we made gas stoves tax-free because we believe that you should have the ability to do all that. So part of the project, I think, is to take power out of Washington and send it back to the states, the localities, and individuals. That means we need a radical reduction of the federal bureaucracy.
That's really important, Logan.
We're going to tell our cabinet secretaries that they have to reduce the number of employees.
Yeah, I always have my mask with me. I keep them on my bike. I keep them in my bag. If I leave, I have a mask. And also, if anybody comes into my house, like I have service people coming here on Thursday to do some maintenance and stuff, I always ask anybody that comes in my house that I don't know to wear a mask.
DC.
And again, like I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody who doesn't do these things. I'm just trying to say, if you're like me, you're still taking it seriously, you're still being cautious. It's nice for us to know we're not the only ones.
By 50%. And that's going to probably be the biggest reduction in power in Washington in modern American history. But we cannot go down the road of letting more and more power consolidate in Washington, D.C. Part of the reason is the founders never wanted to have consolidated power like that because they understood that's a threat to freedom. You also have another problem that the ruling class in D.C.,
all right, Lena,
they
we'll
get
see you
almost
soon.
every major issue wrong. And so these are the last people you would want to surrender judgment and freedom to. They're going to lead us down the road to ruin. So we've got a lot of work to do. But at the end of the day, part of the reason we've been successful in Florida is we fought back against the federal government. And for example, when the federal government tried to impose the COVID-19 vax mandates on the economy, you had one through the main economy, which we fought back and won. Then they did one on the medical personnel, nurses, who a lot of these nurses had COVID. They didn't want to take the vax. And so we called the special session of the legislature. We said, you don't have to do it in Florida. Federal government said, well, we're telling you have to. And we said, go pound sand. We're not going to cooperate. So the federal government finally...
Again, he is literally bragging about resisting the federal mandate. He is bragging about putting people's lives at risk. And I don't care how many nurses wanted to continue to work unvaccinated. Gang, I don't want to be in the same zip code as an unvaccinated nurse. All you are proving, Ron DeSantis, is that there are people stupid enough to follow your lead.
Us $2 million. But you know what? We saved the jobs of tens of thousands of people throughout our state. And so there's a lot you can do when you just stand up to these people to do what's right. But there's no question that there's too much power in Washington, D.C.
Presumably, this process...
Says the man who's running for president of the United States and wants to make it severely more authoritarian as he does. Right? Literally, man will tell you that he's the candidate of God for God, and he wants everything. He will literally tell you he wants to make the government a theocracy. He wants to basically make this the United States of Florida, so he can be fucking big dictator over all of us. And he's gonna tell us there's too much power concentrated in Washington, D.C. Just like fucking Trump. They'll say the same shit. I'm going to drain the swamp, except I'm going to get rid of this federal organization, that organization, that organization. Yeah, then I want this agency to report directly to the president. I want that organization to point directly to the president. Yeah, I want to be able to override the Congress. Yeah. If the Supreme Court says something I don't like, I just want to be able to take an executive order and wipe that shit away. There has never been presidential people, to my knowledge, as hungry to concentrate power in one office, in one position, in one person. We compare these motherfuckers to Hitler and Mussolini and to the fucking epically known failure dictators of all time. And they turn around and pander to and fucking take trips. Well, there'll be some crazy shit happening in Florida. Ron DeSantis will be on the other side of the plane, like, what the fuck is Ron DeSantis there? Oh, he's over there sucking off some dictator. And they ain't gonna turn around and tell us there's too much power concentrated in Washington. This is what religion does to people. It just makes you stupid. It just makes you literally just think you could, bro, Ron, we see you. We know who you are, bro. Your campaign statements have been public. We know what you want to do. Why are you lying about it?
Of devolving power and breaking down centralized
power. You're gonna break down centralized power.
If undertaken
ain't this some shit?
Faith, would mean
Russell Brand, please go fuck off, bro. You are not a news broadcaster. You are not a journalist. This is the most softball. He is not pushing back on anything. Matter of fact, he is pushing this man forward.
States like California and New York State, you would get different cultural and ideological inflections, certainly from based on our current reading from the type of cultural values that are espoused and somewhat represented and in fact embodied by you, Ron. And I wonder if this process is undertaken in good faith, how will that affect the culture war, an issue that you've been most outspoken on, if you genuinely are devolving power in the manner that you have described? That's the first part of my question that I may offer you, because presumably California would have a whole different set of values, different policies on green issues, for example, different policies on homelessness, and on many of the topics loosely corralled under, let's say, wokeness and the anti-woke discourse that's been dominating political and culture more broadly for a while. And the second part of my question is, are you willing to approach and rebut centralized power in its corporate and private form in the same way that you would confront it in the state form? I'm talking, of course, of giant monopolies and duopolies in the areas of big tech and even energy and media. Because, of course, one of the arguments that is advanced that is for pro-state power is that it gives us the ability to confront corporate power, even if that isn't happening anywhere in American politics at the moment.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's a great issue, but I actually think it's just the opposite. I think what you've seen is a collusion between big government and big business. I mean, just take big tech. A lot of the things that were being censored during COVID, for example, that wasn't just being done because Mark Zuckerberg thought that he wanted it censored. No, he was working with people like Fauci. They were working with.
All right, gang. I'm going to summarize Ron DeSantis's entire campaign in 2 talking points. I did jack shit during COVID is point number 1. Point number 2, I hate trans people. That is literally Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis's platform is fuck Fauci and fuck the woke. I am going to end the woke and I am going to end epidemiology. Please vote Ron DeSantis. And gang, the scary part about this man is we have to realize that if, it sounds kind of funny, but if the Republicans have like a clear-eyed, sober moment, right, and they realize that Donald Trump's a fucking criminal, and Donald Trump should probably spend the rest of his life in prison, and Donald Trump's going to be embroiled in some pretty serious legal troubles during this political campaign, Ron DeSantis will be the leading Republican candidate to be the next president of the United States of America. And he has spent over 10 minutes on one of the larger right-wing podcasts in America. He has not offered us nothing about no economics, no foreign policy, nothing he's going to do about jobs, nothing he's going to do for education. No. It has just been, let me boast and brag about how I am literally death. Like he's like the angel of death from Florida. He's just yeah. Like this is just literally an anti-COVID care propaganda interview. And I can't believe that this is really where we're at. Like we're really at a place where Ron DeSantis is center stage in our political conversation, and he has nothing to contribute. And gang, please go fuck yourself. This is the Republican Party post the first fucking Trump administration. All those people who said, oh no, they're going to see how bad things went for Trump and we're going to turn around and we're going to take things into. No. He's just doubling down on Trump bullshit, trying to go further than Trump will go.
People inside of government to censor dissent on lockdowns, on mask mandates, on school closures, on vax mandates.
I was hoping so. I mentioned it, YouTube Punk, but I don't know if he'll mention it.
A free society has to have debates over important issues. What more important issue have we had in the last decade or two than whether society should be locked down? I mean, are you kidding me?
Pro-vid,
and they didn't want to
exactly.
have that debate. So I actually think that, yes, obviously, when there's less power in Washington, individual states, they have certain powers to make different decisions. But I do think if we break up the relationship between big government and some of these big monopolies, particularly in the tech sphere, I think that's actually going to have universal benefit throughout the country because there's going to be more ability to speak freely. You're not going to have Uncle Sam with its thumb on the scale. And let's just be clear about this. The federal government could not censor you and say you can't say something about, say, lockdowns. That would violate the First Amendment. Everybody knows that. But they can't subcontract out that to a private entity and have the private entity do what the federal government couldn't do directly. It's still a violation of the First Amendment. One of the things we did in Florida as governor, I signed legislation expressly prohibiting our state and local government employees from colluding with big tech for any type of speech censorship or to police, quote, misinformation or disinformation. They are not.
Again, he is bragging about making actual laws that prevent us from filtering out misinformation and disinformation. During a pandemic that was rapidly killing everybody's grandma when it wasn't killing them themselves. Gang, this is just where you have to say Americans are shitty people. There's no way that we should even know who a person like this is. Instead, we're not sure he's not going to be the next president. This is insane.
not allowed to do that as a matter of law. As president, I'll issue an executive order basically barring federal employees from colluding with big tech like we've seen in the past. But I think this whole idea of freedom in our society has got to be viewed through the lens of, yes, we know big government it can be bad for freedom. There's no question about it. But we live in an era where a lot of these big private concentrations of power are exercising kind of government-like power. I mean, if you have Wall Street banks collude to deny funding for, say, gun shop owners, well, that's an indirect attack on the Second Amendment. When you have different types of tech companies colluding with government to censor certain subjects, that's an attack on the First Amendment. So
again, kids are getting shot in schools. We want to have a conversation about gun control. Gang, this is what I'm telling you. Like, other people think this is funny. Supporting these conservatives is a death pact. It is nothing more than a willingness to watch people die so you can own the libs. Who, by the way, go fuck yourself. Owning the libs just means you're a bigot. It just means you're a fucking asshole. I'm sorry, gang, owning the other team is only cool when what's fucked up is the other team. When owning the libs is like, we're gonna let COVID run wild. we're not gonna pass any fucking legislation that's gonna regulate the use of assault weapons in schools. Aren't we cool? We're not gonna be aware of social injustices. Fuck that shit. Who cares about women's reproductive rights? Fuck affirmative action. You're just a bad person. You're just a bad person. And I'm not even you're really a bad person. You're a bad person. I don't care anymore. I'm not trying to protect these people's feelings. These people will gladly watch us all fucking die, gang. They will watch us all die. Please, let me, hang on a second. How many people in the U.S. have died from COVID? Okay, let's see. Yeah, a lot. Let's say last year, more than 267,000 people died of COVID in the U.S. All right, it's like 250,000 people. Check it out, gang. Here's the real truth. First off, that number is bullshit. Why? Because Americans have... This whole thing we've done, and we see it in our community with wanting to make sure everybody's comfortable, wanting to make sure we're not too divisive, wanting to make sure we don't call people names, wanting to make sure we're so nice. It's cost people their lives. We are so now wanting people to be comfortable, we don't want them to even get tested for COVID anymore. So we don't know what the real numbers are. Because you and I all know people who have gotten sick recently and had no intention on testing to see whether they were actually sick with COVID. It's not a thing anymore. We don't even do it anymore. But my point is this. If you were one of the 250,000 people who died last year because of COVID, or one of the, let's say, 100,000 people or whatever who died of COVID this year, they would not care. They don't care about the family members I lost. They don't care about the friends of family members that I lost. They don't care about the family members y'all lost. They don't care. So we have to get to that point where we have to say to ourselves, I don't care about your feelings more than I care about my life. Just flat out, that my priorities are not that out of whack. Okay? So all the people who support these people, I'm just telling y'all flat out, you're bad people. There's no other reason you want to support these people other than to continue to be bad people.
You got to understand that freedom's under attack, not just from government power. There's also concentration of private power.
This is fire. Exactly. Dear America, you are waking up, as Germany once did, to the awareness that a third of your people would kill another third while a third watches. Facts. That feels like exactly where we're at. And then the funny thing is, Punk, Ron DeSantis right here is the leader of using the Hitlerian playbook. Second only to fuckface Donald Trump. And just like Hitler and them started with going after the woke and, owning the libs of their day, they have done the same thing. Y'all lucky y'all got Stephanie Helms on here. This isn't one of them episodes. We're supposed to just be talking about regular shit, but it's always on the table with these people because, again, he would like to see our queer fam exterminated the same way Hitler did. And he would not care.
Which does threaten a free society.
So far, so good, so presidential, and so many questions yet remaining. Of course, we have to follow up, Ron, on the aspect of my question.
I'm sorry to hear that, Native.
War, because freedom is a two-way street.
It's
and
fucking
if we're going to
terrible.
grant freedom to people to express themselves culturally in the manner that is embodied,
and I can't say it was
by
necessary.
your success there in Florida, then what about the freedom of those opposed? But the next question that I'm going to ask Ron DeSantis is, would you pardon Trump on the charges around January 6th and the handling of classified documents? And if this man can speak so eloquently and appealingly, how is it that Trump is still soaring in the polls? To hear the answer to those questions, you are going to have to join us on Rumble. There's a link in the description right now. If you watch it, so join us over there on the home of free speech. We're going to be speaking freely because some of the issues that Ron's already touched.
All right, gang, please go fuck yourself. I was going to do like a part 2 because this is so annoying. So yeah, he had to switch the conversation up over to Rumble or whatever. But you know what? They came back and they made a second part to this. And just because y'all tuned in, we're going straight into it. We're going straight to bonus content, gang. Part 2, I was gonna do part 2 tomorrow or like later, but they got me all the way triggered. So we're gonna do it now. Boom. Mods don't hate me. We're doing it. We're staying live. We're not ending the show. We're doing part 2. Do it now.
Ron DeSantis says if
Roll
he were president, Fauci and the medical organizations would face a reckoning. And he said,
so double banger, gang. We're doing 2 in 1.
Trump not only doesn't oppose Fauci, but appointed him. So what's true? Hello there, you 6.5 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me on this voyage to truth and freedom. Turn on the notification bell. And
all right, boom. Now see, this is where we about to fight. Because I'm so petty, gang. I'm so petty. I hate when right-wingers say things like truth and freedom. It just kills me. And it gets me to be like, no. Like, because this is what Christians do, right? Like, look, here's what you need to do. Go to your local evangelical Christian church. I'm kidding. Don't do that. You'll probably get COVID. But if you're willing to risk it, go and bring you one of them Nick Lachey clickers. You need one of them magical clickers, but you could get one on your phone. I have a clicker on my phone, and here's what I want you to do. Every time they say the word truth, I want you to click off. I want you to click. Gang, I promise you will find that by the end of this sermon, they have said the word truth several dozen times. It's a 90-minute fucking speech. Not even. Some pastors be trying to get out. They got out there 45-minute fucking sermon. And you said truth 38 times and did nothing but tell lies. These motherfuckers are so excited about truth and freedom but they're bringing us lying ass fascists. Crazy. Just I'm not gonna let you do the double speak in my face like that, Russell Brand. Please come in my face talking about some truth and freedom, and I will make sure you understand that you, my friend, are a proponent of fucking neither. It's just it's just straight gaslighting.
Subscribe right now. We need your support and your help. I spoke exclusively to Ron DeSantis and I asked him the questions that matter. Would he pardon Donald Trump? Would he have a post-COVID reckoning? Why, in a time when we're turning to outsiders, should we trust Ron DeSantis, governor of...
Also, I'm gonna keep being petty, gang. I'm gonna keep being petty here. You didn't speak exclusively to Ron DeSantis. See, let me tell you how media works. Exclusive means you got an interview that nobody else got. It also typically means you got to ask and get into issues that nobody else gets into, right? This is neither. Ron DeSantis' uncharismatic ass is in front of every fucking camera near him. He will always say this shit. He says this shit all the fucking time, and lots of people will ask him this question, and he's gonna answer it the same fucked up ass. But matter of fact, I don't even know why. Just rotate.
Florida. He answers these questions and more. Let me know in the comments in the chat what you think of this conversation. How do you, in your position, knowing that there is no pathway to the presidency via Donald Trump, that this is a phenomena and a fact that you're going to have to deal with, how do you confront his position in the polls? And what would you do about some of the charges that Donald Trump is facing in the event that you were president? And also, how does it personally feel as, you know, like just talking to you for a while, and clearly you and I would see a whole host of issues very differently, but it's pretty clear that you're a pretty potent political voice and figure and orator. How do you deal with the sort of wild card of Donald Trump and what he represents?
Also, what issues? Russell Brand is a right-wing grifter. Do not believe him when he says, oh, there's a whole host of issues we disagree on. It just so happens none of them are important enough for me to mention on my show. Now, I did just brag about having an exclusive interview with you. So I've got an exclusive interview with you on my channel. You might be the next president of the United States. There's a whole host of issues we severely disagree on, but I'm not going to mention them. Let's get back to what you do about Trump. Please, I'm not that stupid, and you should not fall for the okey doke either. That was just straight some booty licking. That was just let me lick your butt cheeks, but pretend I'm reasonable. And really, Russell Brand just doesn't do his homework, right? Russell Brand's not big into reading and to following things and to figuring out what policies are and stuff like that. So he wants to be safe, right? He wants to play safe. He's like, oh, you know, let's just assume we might disagree on a few things and get right back to this booty licking.
So many people.
Well, look, this is a campaign that's still very early on. Most people are not paying attention over the summer. They're doing things like be with their families, and they're enjoying themselves. So we've been laying the groundworks in the early states. The media will talk about...
Oh, hang on, gang. We are joined by the lovely Stephanie Helms. How's it going, Steph?
Good, until I heard from this asshole.
There are already links in the description, so please go subscribe to Stephanie Helms' channel and show some Stephanie support. I think our Ko-Fi is down there as well. And if all the other people are wondering why your Ko-Fi is down there, it's because you don't have one and you haven't sent me the link. So, but yeah, definitely subscribe to Stephanie. She makes wonderful, wonderful content. How you doing, Steph?
Good. You know, this guy's just, he's so terminally online, you know, and it's just, I don't know. I don't see how he's not, his polling numbers are horrendous. He's, it's just a mess. His whole campaign's a mess. I mean, he put out an campaign ad, or at least one of his staffers retweeted this homemade campaign ad that featured a well-known Nazi symbol. You know,
I know what ad you're talking about.
Sun and Schwarze or something like that, a black sun thing, which is like a circle with a bunch of Nazi-esque things around it and stuff. So, yeah, this guy's just, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
going
and
anywhere.
they said his he's losing staff, right? So staff is quitting, and apparently he's not doing well in fundraising, and he's sinking in the polls. To me, under normal circumstances, he's
Haley is beating him.
Yeah. I think his plan at this point is Trump gets out, and because he has to, and then I think he hopes that he just becomes there, right? I think a lot of these people, the idea is maybe Trump can't finish this thing. And if Trump can't finish this thing, then somebody's got to be pulled in. And then I think he's counting on that MAGA vote and hoping that will turn the ship around.
Trump goes down, but the MAGA vote's going to not go to him, I don't think. Because he's sitting there saying, well, there's his official campaign ad that he released was just all about dumping all over trans people. Yeah, and gay people. It's like, Trump's with the gays. Trump's this, and that. It's like, no.
Nope. I think he has tried to make the anti-woke, the anti-queer thing even more on Front Street than Trump has. But Trump's promised to take care of the trans agenda day one as well. So it's like pick a fascist, any fascist.
Doesn't matter.
How fast can you pick a fascist?
As far as Russell Brand is concerned, he just, he's in it for the money. He went from 500,000 weekly views to 14 point some million over the course of 6 months.
Really?
Yeah. And this shit pays, man.
Oh my goodness. So somebody is funding this and it's paying off. Like somebody sees this as a very good investment. Holy shit.
Absolutely.
I think, to be honest, I just think they're all done. Like I don't see them going for anybody, which is it's kind of made it a little bit more interesting because I don't see the solution to their problem. I don't see a viable candidate. I think Trump is going to go down. I think they are going to be left in a scramble. So I
can only hope,
Yeah, that was kind of my reaction actually to when they announced the timing of Trump's trial. I wished it was a little bit later. I was just trying to make it. I want it to be as close to the election as possible, so that it has the maximum damaging effect on their electoral politics. Because again, I just think these are all terrible people, really, really terrible people.
They are.
But yeah, all right, we'll roll some tape and see how much this guy we get through.
But they'll take a poll from the whole country. That's not how the primary process works. You do Iowa, then New Hampshire, then South Carolina. So we're actually on the ground in those states doing the work that is not always kind of headline grabbing, but it's really grassroots, and we're building support. So we're doing a good job. We're going to continue to do more. I think at the end of the day, looking forward, our voters, they want to win. And so we need to beat Biden. I will beat Biden. And then they want somebody that's actually going to be able to deliver on all the things that we care about. And you and I have talked about some of the issues. We also have the border. We also have a whole bunch of other things. And I have a record in Florida. When I tell you I'm going to do something, I do it. I'm not just out there doing idle promises. I know how many people run for office. They overpromise and underdeliver. Well, I think I'm one of the few where I made bold promises, no doubt, but I over-delivered on the promise. And part of the reason I do it is because I'm a former military officer, so I'm disciplined. I don't give the other side a lot of rope to hang me with. I'm not shooting myself in the foot. I'm focusing on the task at hand. I'm focused. I'm disciplined. And it's all about accomplishing the mission. And I think our voters are in a situation where increasingly they're saying, that's what we have to do. Also, the way the United States is with a 2-term limit for president, Trump would be a 1-term lame duck. I could serve 2 terms. So I'm in my 40s. I would go in on day one. I'd be incredibly energetic. I would be very active. You want to talk about the administrative state? We would be able to slay the administrative state. We'd secure the border. We'd do all these things, and it would really be a flurry of...
All right, gang, this is the post here where let me see, where people showed DeSantis. This is the thing he deleted. Right-wing cope Twitter. I need to subscribe to this. Follow right-wing cope. That's great. But yeah, this is they quickly deleted tweet of a hype video displaying DeSantis over a Nazi emblem for about 4 seconds. I think his own staffers are sabotaging him at this point. And yeah, it says "Make America Florida."
His problem is, he's trying to use the wokey doke to get around Trump. But the more he pumps into that, the more he loses voters for the general election who are anywhere, beyond Attila the Hun. It's just he's just not. I don't know. I hope I'm right. I hope we get smart enough. Well, I hope the electorate is smart enough to reject all the fascism that we've got going around. But it sure is. Those people seem to have all kinds of money. That's all I can say.
They sure do seem to have all types of money, and I don't see a different conservative party. I want to make a stream that basically says sort of white fundamentalist evangelical Christianity is Christianity. Like there's this way in which all of these other groups are, to me, playing a losing battle, because when you look at the political thrust of power, when you look at who's really doing the mega churches, who's really doing the big platforms, it's clear that white evangelical Christians are now Christianity. That's the brand. I'm not saying they're all that way, but that's the power core, and that's what we're dealing with. In the same way, this is now conservative politics. Whatever your parents and your grandparents were doing, with the Republican Party, that's not going on anymore. Whatever, you thought you were doing, I have these conservative values or those conservative values, that's not going on anymore. The Liz Cheneys of the world aren't even in the game at this point. What's the guy from Utah? Y'all, who's the crazy Mitt Romney? Mitt Romney's not in the game at this point. Jeb Bush is not about to make a comeback. Jeb Bush is not, Chris Christie can't get 5%. Chris Christie can't get 5%. The Republicans are the crazy loony bins party of Trump, Boebert, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I wish it was different, but this is what we have.
So more and more people are going to see that. We haven't even had debates yet. And just keep an eye on those early states, because I like what I'm seeing there. It's a little bit different on the ground than some of the stuff that gets put out on some of the national stuff.
How do you manage the tension when there is a plain appetite in your country for anti-establishment figures? RFK becoming an emergent force in the Democrat Party, Trump having been the defining figure in the last 5, 6, 7 years in American politics and American campaigns. How do you deal with managing the tension of being a representative of establishment?
It's a fucking lie. Robert Francis Kennedy is not a major force in the Democrat Party, as you say, Russell. You fucking Brit. Come on now. That's just garbage. That's complete garbage. Bobby Kennedy's just because Bobby Kennedy's an anti-vax wacko like yourself, that doesn't mean he has a hell of a lot of pull in a party that is pretty much down with public health. Right. What a fucking asshole. Jesus.
Steph, what do you think of this news? Joe Manchin continues to tease a third-party presidential run at a town hall in New Hampshire.
Yeah, well, maybe somebody will pull a Teddy Kennedy. I don't know.
Joe Manchin is an asshole, and
he is an asshole.
I don't see that doing anything other than maybe hurting the Democrats. To me, it almost seems like a bargaining move. It just seems like him trying to, maintain his power. It's a decent power play. It is that, right?
Yeah, well, probably. Joe Manchin is the perfect Democrat for West Virginia, but that's about it.
Yes,
it's
right.
It's his policies. I mean, I'm sure that you and I would probably both agree that Joe Biden has not been perfect. Let's put it that way, anyway. But he has accomplished a great deal, and most of what he has accomplished is right in the mainstream of the Democratic Party, and is right there for most of the country.
Yeah, I'll just say, when given the opportunity to choose between an adult and a toddler, I'm always going to vote for the adult. For Joe Manchin, though, it's a good way to get Biden and those people to not write him off so quickly. Joe Manchin made himself very unpopular, and maybe somehow teasing this third-party run, it gets him back in the room. It gets people who were willing to write him off. If I was Joe Biden, and look, let's just say Joe Biden, you don't have to push Joe Biden too hard to get him to bend or want to compromise. And maybe if you're Senator Manchin, you realize you're falling out of favor with the Democrats, you tease this third-party run, all of a sudden people get you in the room because they want to get you out of the race, and you can sort of state your terms. And potentially that is like the continued support of the administration. I think he's just, if anything, he's trying to carve out a space for him to continue to be a centrist so he can continue to be, like Steph said, the ideal senator for West Virginia and West Virginia only. But that's just my take. Who knows? We'll see how that plays out. I think thanks for the news. It's a really interesting update.
Forces, while acknowledging that many people no longer trust the media, many people no longer trust the government, many people are deeply cynical about American institutions. How do you deal with the massive mistrust and near-nihilism of American cultural life?
Exactly.
Can we imagine a situation?
Nerve, buddy.
Exactly.
Like here I am preaching, be as nihilistic as possible. Don't believe the government. You can't believe anything they say, and this and that. And then you sit there and shake your head and cluck, and go, why don't people trust the government? It's because of you.
Yes. While you sit down and talk to the candidate who is bragging about how he passed legislation so we can't filter out misinformation, like the Russell Brand podcast. I mean, this is just, it's crazy, right? This is the alternate reality limit. I mean, they're whining about why doesn't anybody trust the government? Them.
Where whatever the result of the next presidential election, the opposing side will likely say the election was stolen, it was because of Russians, it was because of broken or corrupt voting machines. How can you ever bring together and justify a centralized American experiment, particularly when you seem to believe so strongly in decentralization, federalism, and maximum democracy? How do you deal with this mistrust
Steph,
and this great
Let's light up.
appetite for outsiders?
Well, one, I would push back on this idea that I'm representing establishment forces. I get attacked by the corporate press more than anybody running for office, more than Joe Biden, and now more than Donald Trump, because I think the corporate press views me as a bigger threat. They understand that I will beat Biden, and they know I will actually deliver on all these things, whereas I think they think that Trump would not beat Biden. And then I think they think even if he did, that he would be distracted with all these other...
Now, gang, this is a pig's blanket wrapped in shit. And what I mean by that is, first off, it's a little bit of truth wrapped in bullshit. Nobody is prioritizing covering DeSantis above Trump. Not CNN, not MSNBC, not Fox News, and not even your boy Pocket Locker 86. Trust me, Trump is unfortunately that car crash that won't end, that we can't turn our eyes away from. And he has the charisma factor is way higher with Trump. The entertainment factor is way higher than with Trump. The stakes are way higher with Trump. Trump has been dominating the content in the news cycle for the better part of a decade at this point, right? At least since 2016. It's 2023, gang. Sorry, it's 2023. Listen to me. It's 2023. I mean, that's a lot of...
It feels like a millennium, but...
that's a long time for Trump to really have been dominating. So DeSantis is not on that level. What he is... The most modest modicum of right about is he's the swamp. He's a career politician. He is a lot of us do think he would be a little bit more focused on the job, say, than Trump. Trump made a lot of promises. He's pro a lot of stuff. He's anti a lot of stuff. But when Trump got in office, Trump was like, I'm gonna eat hamburgers, watch Fox News, and play golf. Like he didn't. So there was a lot of things he just didn't follow up because that's not Trump's nature. Trump didn't actually want to do work. DeSantis, if for no other reason than for show, than to try to get himself on that level, will be a nightmare. He will absolutely.
Well, you know, Ron DeSantis and Ted Cruz are probably the best living examples, anyway, of the value of a Harvard education, which is to say, not much. I mean, it's such a grift.
It is. This is why I gotta subscribe to Steph, man. Steph is keeping it real. Yeah, these assholes, they're everything wrong with fucking society, man.
Their stuff and wouldn't be able to deliver. So I've been the target of all these people, and I think it's because I've been willing to lead. Also,
bro, maybe it's because of the stunts you pull. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's that, but here's the delicious Florida wine of the contemporary American conservative that you see see the same thing in the evangelicals. Oh, poor me! They're persecuting me. They're after me. They're gonna get me. And it's like,
right?
You're the MFer that's taking books out of kids' libraries. You're the MFer that's threatening to lock up women who've had abortions and lock up trans people for accessing their medical care. What are you talking about that you're persecuted? Give me an effing break.
Right.
This is the wokey dope. Oh, the woke are the people that belong in jail, and I should be here ready to rob the country fucking blind while all you motherfuckers are too stupid to notice.
Absolutely.
Jesus.
Absolutely. You're the motherfucker who's in another country when there's tragedy happening in your state. You're the motherfucker loading up buses of immigrants and brown people and sending them to other parts of the country as literally a bold-faced political stunt that,
right,
like, so transparent. Like, people are just like, yeah, in another stunt, Ron DeSantis sends bus full of people to Maine. Like, there's no even like the thing you were pretending it was doing, right? He wasn't even smart enough to like set up a camp and like, no, I was providing them free transportation to summer camp. Like, nothing. He's like, yeah, I own the libs. I just sent them a bus for the black people. Isn't that great?
I mean, you know, he's a guy, you know, he picked his target very carefully. Martha's Vineyard, right? It's like, I know where I'll send them. I'll send them to Martha's Vineyard.
Right.
Martha's Vineyard is a tiny little island off of Massachusetts. It's well known as a summer resort. It's cousin to Nantucket, the other small island off of Cape Cod, and the subject of many limericks. But I mean, if he were a guy from Nantucket, never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, he picked his target carefully. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that the people would be treated well because people in Martha's Vineyard are compassionate, unlike people in wherever the fuck he's from. But, you know, it's just such a... all about optics, no substance whatsoever.
Absolutely.
And it's got the personality of
But do you think he is a bit scarier than Trump in the sense that let's just roll out all the if trains that get him to office. He gets to office. He is a little bit, I think even as governor, he's shown like he's about that legislation, right? Like he's up here, he's bragging about the laws. Oh, he will do it.
He will do it. He will definitely do it.
Yeah, he's got that ounce of truth to him, and that's why we think he's even less favorable than Trump. Is he is serious about his shit. That will give him.
During COVID, I was the one fighting Fauci. Donald Trump put Fauci in charge. He never fired Fauci. Exactly. In fact, Donald Trump's last day in office, he gave Fauci a presidential commendation. And I'm just thinking to myself, this guy had been responsible for justifying school closures, for justifying mandates, for justifying lockdowns. And by January of 2021, we knew how destructive it was. We knew it had failed. So on the biggest hysterical issue, the biggest current thing where all these elites got together, COVID-19, I was one of the leaders throughout this world to stand against those people, fight back against them. And so I think that the fact that I've been willing to do that, I mean, for example, I've got a grand jury hearing evidence in Florida about misrepresentations by pharmaceutical companies.
All right, gang, hang on. This is he's a throwback to Trump. Like, think about it. Trump's kind of trying to take steps forward. He's got to deal with his fucking criminal shit, and he's got to deal with, trying to get back for 2024, but he spends too much time talking about 2020 and how the election was stolen and these issues. Like, Trump is kind of coming up with, he's putting some new shit in there, right? Ron DeSantis is like, let's get back to the classics. Let's talk about COVID and fuck Fauci and anti-woke and let's get rid of Black history. We really don't want women getting abortions. Like, he's kind of like, stick to the tried and true comfort food of Republican politics in the modern era. He
in this particular interview, he knows where he is. Have you heard much about abortion? No. Have you heard much about queer people? No. Have you heard much about that kind of stuff? No. He's sticking to the stuff that he knows Brand is going to be foursquare, all in on. I don't know where Brand stands on any of this, but you're not hearing. Yeah, you're not hearing Brand either. This is Brand's problem, because he wants to punch on that particular aspect of the wokey doke, and DeSantis wants to avoid that at all costs because he doesn't want to be dragged into that conversation in this venue. But everywhere else in the world, he's basically saying, you don't those fags around now, do you?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, I think Russell Brand is kind of on that tip too, and so I agree with you, and it's weird, but it's almost like they've got that thing Christians do, right? Where we know we're in agreement about those people, right? So it's the thing that goes without saying. Although I gotta admit, we'll see. I'd be surprised if he doesn't bring it up at all. But yeah, you're the very astute observation.
And he's over COVID.
So far he really hasn't, and it seems to be his almost number one thing everywhere else is going. This speaks to me. I think him being DeSantis being aware that Brand, built a significant part of his reputation being pro-vid, as we'd say, and as YouTube Punk put in there, and I think DeSantis is on the same tips. I think they know this is a safe, mutual venture. Yeah.
COVID-19 jabs. There's not another elected official in the country who's been willing to ask those types of questions. We're doing it, and we're getting answers for that. So I think I present a great opportunity for people because I have all the right enemies. You see it by how they're attacking me.
I have all
but I
the
also
right
have a proven
enemies.
record of beating these people, and we would do the same thing as president.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate you answering that question. That's an excellent answer. Now, Ron, I'm sure you're aware that our show is sponsored by Sheath Underwear. You know that already. You don't need me to tell you that, Ron. You've got bigger fish to fry. And
Wait, we're watching
we've
this
noticed
commercial.
that it's summer and it's getting hot
Gang,
out there.
we're watching this
And I don't know
commercial.
about you, Ron, but I'm getting pretty hot down there. Now, if you wear traditional, old-fashioned underwear, like your granddad, you and me, Ron, will be vulnerable to sweating and chafing all over
Gang, keep
our
watching,
precious
keep watching.
reproductive organs.
I promise
Once that
you, it's
temperature's
good.
high, I mean, I don't know what Donald Trump wears on his privates, but I tell you, Joe Biden, that guy goes commando. Summertime is not an issue if you wear sheath underwear. It's ergonomically designed with separate compartments to keep everything down under dry and cool. This bit's dry and that bit's cool. The quality is amazing. And with so many different designs, there's something for everyone's testicles and penis. So put an end to all that sweating and stop all those embarrassing readjustments. You can stop all of that with Sheath Underwear. Go to sheathunderwear.com/brand and use code BRAND for 20% off. The link is in the description below. Now, Ron, I won't bring up underpants again, I promise, as long as enough people use the link. Two of the most powerful voices in the space that you currently occupy.
All right, gang. The reason I actually wanted you guys to suffer through that with me is because today we were watching, gathered during the day, we were watching a video about fake podcast. How fake podcasts are like taking over, and it's like all these content creators, and they're basically pretending that they're on podcasts. They've got it all looked to set up like they're on the Joe Rogan podcast or some other podcast, but they're not actually talking to anybody. There isn't anybody there. They may not even actually be recording the sound from the microphone that's on camera. And this was totally one of those fucking things where I don't know. I doubt if Ron DeSantis was even in the studio when he recorded that fucking ad. Highly doubt it. Notice how there was absolutely no interaction from DeSantis. So that was something Russell Brand cut in to make it pretend that, and then even tried to pull okie doke at the end. Well, I'm not going to bring it up anymore. Bro, we're not stupid, bro. We know Ron DeSantis is not part of this underwear ad. So that was it was just too timely. I couldn't not notice how cringe that was. Because again, he could have just cut the fucking ad. Like nobody would have given a shit. Just cut the fucking underwear ad. We know you got a sponsored YouTube channel. You don't have to pretend you're talking to Ron DeSantis in the middle of it. So yeah, I guess they're just going to it for the lulz now. I guess they're just in it for the lulz too. So that was that. Also, like, these audiences, man, like I've seen some of the demographics on some YouTube channels, and it's alarming how white they are, and it's alarming how male they are. And this podcast doing that commercial just was like, yeah, dude. Hey, man, here's some dude stuff to protect your balls, dude.
I've never seen the underwear, the whole thing you can hide your dick in. Which, that's like, that's supposed to be convenient, but I wouldn't know.
Governor have to be regarded as Donald Trump
times.
and Tucker Carlson. Both of them have taken strong, overt, explicit anti-war stances, saying, among other things, that the Pentagon can't pass an audit, that the money that American taxpayers are funneling into this Ukraine war that increasingly seems like a disaster and a proxy war ought be or immediately ended, that a peaceful solution ought immediately be sought. As a former military officer, where do you stand on this conflict, and are you willing to match that kind of anti-war rhetoric? And how do you reconcile the enormous revenue, the vast budgetary and treasury weight that this war and the military-industrial complex places on the American people generally, with the conditions that many former military personnel now are enduring. Many of them having to use food banks. Many of them, like a significant number, ending up homeless. A great stain on American culture, I would say, is the rhetoric that supports veterans and the shameful way in which they are treated. What is your stance?
Lie.
Yes.
Everything. Not one. In the last 35 seconds, he has not said one true thing.
And that was supposed to be the hard-hitting question. Like, all right, Ron, before we get up out of here, now let me ask you a sticky one, Ron. Here comes a real tough question, and it's just more bullshit. And I have a feeling it'll be responded to with more bullshit. Oh my goodness.
On this current conflict, and would you end this war?
So one, on the military-industrial complex, we are actually going to overhaul how these retired generals are allowed to then just go work for defense contractors. As commander-in-chief, you can put restrictions on that. You basically have a revolving door where people go from high military positions into just a handful of major defense contractors. We're also going to democratize the ability of people, because we obviously need to have a strong defense, but we don't want it to go to just a handful of companies. We used to have all these companies like during World War II.
We're going to have a lot of military contractors.
For sure. And we absolutely need an accounting to just do a blank check. That doesn't serve the American people. And when I was in Iraq, the thing that I noticed was, and this was 2007, so we were there fighting Al-Anbar province, Al-Qaeda in Iraq. I was attached to Navy SEAL Team 1, and the mission was very murky. Yeah, beat Al-Qaeda, but then create a democracy in the Middle East and Iraq. Well, we weren't able to do that. And so you ended up being there for many years. There was a lot of money spent. There was no clear-cut victory. Same with Afghanistan. And I think what's happening in Ukraine is they're barreling towards a multi-year stalemate where a lot more people are going to die, where you're going to have a lot of treasure that's going to be spent for basically no change in outcome. And so what I've said is we need to focus on achieving a sustainable peace in Europe. We should not want to see this thing go on. We have pressing problems at home that we're neglecting, as you mentioned, our own veterans. We have an open border in the United States.
Is this just code for I want Russia to win, and let's just pull our support from Ukraine, and hey, sorry, we just want to see peace. We just want to see peace. Same peace I guess they want in the Middle East, right? Like just wild.
States of America. Yeah. We have America.
Did you have anything else? Okay.
Yeah, I did. I punched my microphone fell all over the place, but whatever.
No worries.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we fuck Ukraine, fuck the woke, fuck the Jews, fuck everybody. This guy is. It's just so utterly fash. It's like, okay. Great. What's the best situation for the Ukraine? For Ukraine to surrender to Putin.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Because then it'd be over. Then it'd be over. Then we could have peace. We just want that peace. It's crazy. The thing that gets me is, I guess I was thinking, I don't know what those things were called where you do like so and so is to this, is this is to this, but it's like Russell Brand is to Joe Rogan what Ron DeSantis is to Donald Trump. And that somehow is an encapsulation of where we're at in American politics and the social sphere. It's fucking crazy.
American families that are losing children to fentanyl overdose by the tens of thousands because we haven't secured our own border. And yet we've sent how many hundreds of billions of dollars there? They're not sending that to us. Also, I do think we have threats in this world, such as the Chinese Communist Party. What you've seen is the amount of ammunition and the amount of weapons that have been sent to the Ukraine has actually dwindled our own stocks, so that if we were potentially in a major conflict, we would not be able to respond. Now, Donald
Wow.
Trump, had made different comments. The other day, he said he wanted to flood Zelensky with weapons. So I'm not exactly sure, where he is on that. But I think the goal needs to be no blank check and have a sustainable peace in Europe. It doesn't serve our interests to be involved in this thing infinitum.
Join us every day for Stay Free with
Yeah,
Russell
that's
Brand.
probably
If
where
you
it's
like
coming
this video,
from,
have a
Steph.
look
I don't
at
think
either
it's
of
on
these. Turn
stream.
on the notification bell and subscribe. More important than any
All
of that.
right, we made it. Holy shit. Also, he never did answer the question about what he would do about Donald Trump's charges. Which was kind of the main thing I was looking forward to him getting into. But I'm sure he will be asked about it on the campaign trail.
Yeah, I don't think he will. I don't think he'll ever answer that, because the minute he does, he's going to lose. No matter which way he answers the question, he's going to lose. He can't answer the question. The only hope he has is to just sort of let it slide.
Or make a deal backdoor. Because to me, at some point, somebody's got to start thinking that Trump's endorsement probably depends on saying you'd be willing to pardon him.
That's right. And that means that Trump is going to have to reach, somebody's going to have to tell Trump, look, boss, there's no way you're going to be able to get around this. You are going to court. You are doing this. You are doing that. And you're not going to get out of it because of the presidential election. Your best hope is to make sure that somebody is elected who will pardon you for all of these egregious crimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it feels like the beef between them is a bit premature. Like, Trump is a bit like jumping the gun. Like, you're going to need one of these people very soon. And they still need to start thinking about what they're ultimately going to be willing to do to get that MAGA support, because there's no path to the Republican nomination without it. That's the real deal right now. I don't see, I think even if, say, like like a Liz Cheney or somebody like that jumps into the race, they're not going to be able to do it without appealing as much as they can to MAGA.
Yeah, and the other possibility is that somebody like that does get into the race and attracts a reasonable following. Not seeing it with Christie at this point. But if somebody did get into the race and attracted a major following, then I can see the Republican Party going the way of the Whigs. Just, a schism within the ranks, which would be the best outcome as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, right. Because it makes both unviable against a presumably united Democratic Party. Although the way the Democrats handle power is never encouraging, right? Because
they're not ruthless enough for my taste. They should be more ruthless.
Yeah, and then also
they should be more like, nope, you're done.
Yeah. Also, I just wonder how much we could get things to move to the left if they really didn't have opposition. Like, to me, that's just going to be the era of centrist compromises, and we don't have to push.
I need to comment here on a comment in the chat here. Look, the time to talk about it is not time to talk about both sides do it anymore, because both sides don't. There is no fucking equivalency between banning library books and crimes against the United States of America. An armed insurrection against the United States of America is not something you can pin on a Democrat.
We have
you cannot do this, and it does absolutely no one any goddamn good to keep spouting about that. Hunter Biden's laptop versus Donald Trump stealing classified documents and
That's what I was thinking.
them down his pants. That's no fucking equivalency there. One is a private citizen who cheated on his taxes. Well, Donald Trump has done that too, but you know that's not the point. There's no equivalency between the president's son doing something hinky and the former president himself doing something traitorous.
That's insane. That's insane. So
and Race Crown 21, sir, I have to agree with you there, sir. My name is Stephanie Helms. My pronouns are she, her.
Yeah, I think maybe he's talking about me. Collab's a right winger. We used to play games together, but he's lost. He's a lost cause to the right wing, unfortunately, which is crazy. You should rewind the stream and just see what that side is bringing to the table. These are the worst human beings. I mean, they're really the terrible. And that's the comparison, Steph, is like we're literally supposed to think that, you know, Hunter Biden making a shady business deal or having sex with a prostitute is somehow on the same level of Donald Trump seeing Donald Trump leading insurrection and committing espionage and all this type of stuff. Just unbelievable. But yeah, we're done. We're getting up out of here, gang. Please subscribe to Stephanie Helms. It's definitely worth the sub. Give her a like. Leave a comment on the next video. Steph, you got anything planned coming up?
Women Atheists Unload next this coming Saturday, I think it is, right?
Who else is going to be in that?
I think Cynthia's going to be there. Mandisa might be there. A whole bunch of people. Yeah, we're going to be talking about misogyny.
Yeah, Cloud, make sure you tune in to that stream on misogyny. Definitely be worthwhile. Also, Steph is usually with Maya. There's a link down in the description for Maya Atkinson for Bad Science Sunday.
Yeah, Bad Science Sunday was kind of fun last night.
It was crazy. It was crazy. I don't know how we keep finding content, you know, for shows like this, but somehow that was...
Oh yeah, it's the same. It's the same kind of stuff. It all runs together, and it's, you know, the bad science, the conspiracy theories. They all pop up in the same place. You mix them up, and you get just garbage.
The numbers are scary, though, right?
Yeah,
the bad science guys are out there. You know, they're always in the hundreds of thousands of subs. You know, apparently Russell Brand is making movie star money doing his absolute horseshit podcast. The grift is real. The grift is real, and it's so profitable for these people in terms of money and influence and power. So I have no idea what to do with that.
It's real, and it's very well put together. They really do work on it. We've got to work harder.
We've got to get organized. Absolutely. All right, gang. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love you guys. We'll be over and Gather if you want to come hang out. Otherwise, do join the Discord. Discord's been going crazy lately. And if not, we'll see you next time.